there, MultiVersus went away for a year and came back with a constant stream of new characters, one of which is Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, better known as...
It's just a weirdo in a mask. It's just a weirdo in a mask. Oh, man.
Today we're going through his moveset to see the movie references, video game nods, and generally geek out together. If gruesome scary horror films aren't your thing, you should probably leave us to it. For everyone else, let's do this. Starting with the reveal, Jason's hockey mask is displayed slowly coming towards the camera as light pours through it. This is nigh on identical to the opening titles in Part 7. Awesome touch indeed. Now let's talk about the step into the mist. Jason's uncanny ability to materialize behind opponents in a cloud of fog. It's never been proven to be a real ability in the movies, but he does have a knack of covering crazy long distances in world record times. It's the video games that get the credit for this one. When Jason was added to Mortal Kombat X in 2015, the devs weren't subtle at all and gave him teleportation. It actually suited him perfectly and became so commonplace that when 2017's Friday the 13th game released and we played as Jason hunting down teenagers, it was there again. I think MultiVersus might be the best version of this. Probably Jason's most iconic move in MultiVersus is the sleeping bag grab, smash and yeet. There are 3 references to find in the movies. In Part 7, Jason stumbles across a tent, and that's where the memorable yellow sleeping bag is, escorting this young lady to a nearby tree to help cure her insomnia. What a nice guy. Then in the 2009 remake, Jason once again rips into a tent, but this time he suspends that sleeping bag over a campfire. It doesn't end too well for Amanda. There's another reference in the movies in Jason X, as Uber Jason returns to Crystal Lake, and these very forward ladies invite him to get cozy. He kinda misunderstood their meaning, and this horrendous act is now in a child-friendly video game. Very nice. Other games have tried it too. In fact, back to Mortal Kombat, you can see this scene played out without the sleeping bag. Yikes. Oh, segue, we talked about Uber Jason there. He is also the final tier in the Battle Pass this season. The lore is quite strange. He was cryogenically frozen and 445 years later, set free in a sci-fi space world. He's eventually taken down by an android, but somehow falls on top of a digital medical table, and the nanobots resurrect him. And ta-da! Uber Jason! Does anyone remember how they beat him in this form? The standard Jason attire in MultiVersus looks to be an amalgam of references, with the mask being from Part 3 with the 3 chevron-like shapes. The chain was added in Part 6 as a way to sink the big man under the lake, and the jacket is more akin to the reboot of Friday the 13th. And come to think of it, the chain was in that one too. I tried to find evidence of Jason being this size in other media, but I couldn't, and I adore this design. Kudos to the artist. Okay, what's the next move? It's this one, folding a bed in half. It doesn't seem normal, but it seems pretty innocent, right? Well, of course, it's another movie reference, and this time it's to Freddy vs. Jason, where Freddy Krueger resurrected Jason. It was a strange film. Trey here was laying in bed, enjoying a healthy beverage when this happened. Jason folded him and the bed in half, backwards. Oof, I bet that hurt. Up attack will never feel the same again. Jason can trigger a rage mode in MultiVersus, and this is another that doesn't really exist in the movies, but he has been known to run through doors when slightly angry. So it's back to video games we go to find the origin. Friday the 13th uses rage in a similar way to the movies, making Jason slightly faster and much stronger. Whereas in Mortal Kombat X, Jason's rage is represented with a neck crack, and the entire screen's hue changes to red. Lining both MultiVersus and Mortal Kombat up, the inspiration is clear, especially if I change the in-game hue in MultiVersus. There's another move I think Mortal Kombat is the basis for, and that's Jason's dash attack. A full shoulder charge like a freight train in MultiVersus is pretty much the same as the one in Mortal Kombat. It makes sense too, as both sets of devs, NetherRealm and Player First Games, are under the Warner Brothers Games banner, and they are likely talking to each other, maybe about other things too. For context, the Friday the 13th game used a dash move too, known as Shift, The screen would lose signal in an 80s VHS style, and Jason would appear much closer. Jump scare worthy, I'd say, and while finishing this, I eventually found Jason does run in the movies. I'm kinda glad they didn't opt for this style, it's a bit awkward. Here's another move for good luck, the grab and stab. Once again, looks to be referencing Mortal Kombat's version of Jason. MultiVersus Jason has a standard 3-swing combo ending with a throw. The slashes are found countlessly in the movies and the games, yet the throw itself at the end is worth more attention. That grab and yeet is one of Jason's showreel pieces, usually resulting in someone being lobbed out of a window in slow motion. The big man also has another weapon that isn't a machete, it's an axe. His charged up attack does heavy damage and looks to be inspired by his ability to throw the weapon in the movies. In the game he keeps hold of it, but he definitely could use this as a ranged weapon. The axe attack, which holds his enemy and smashes them into the floor, according to the YouTuber Phantom Games, this is in reference to an unreleased axe elimination that looks like this. Phantom Games also linked Jason's in-game dodge move to the time he casually avoided pressurized canisters fired at him like torpedoes. Okay, it didn't totally go to plan. And that brings us to Jason's horror stomp. I was certain I could find this in the movies, but I simply couldn't after rewatching them all. Regardless of that, I'm giving the credit for the move to the video game, and a 2018 DLC pack which brought this way to go. Did you look through the battle pass and notice this emote, Jason moonwalking? I'm sure you instantly thought about the King of Pop, Michael Jackson, and his iconic illusion, and although that's right, the reference goes a little deeper. In the 2017 game, a bug was discovered that let players of Jason moonwalk around the map.
He's on the camp entrance camera moonwalking.
Jason really was a smooth criminal, and I really missed that game. At this point, I usually do a section on voice lines, but Jason only has one. That noise represents his mother's voice in his head constantly. And finally, my favourite reference to the Friday the 13th movies. Jason has an incredibly strong attack with machete in hand that absolutely fires foes away. So I scoured the movies to see if that was a real thing and found that Beyonce's best mate Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child was in Freddy vs. Jason, and this is the end of her character. So Jason really can fling people with his machete. Especially pop stars. So that's what I got. Let me know if I missed an important reference and I'll pin it in the comments below. Also, who shall we break down next? It's gotta be Joker, right? I'm Adam, you're awesome. I'll see you next time.